Well, folks, it's really getting real now because this is the last mid-season finale of The Walking Dead forever. We're just almost at the finish line here. And this episode 16, Acts of God, was a devastating one. So many things, so many choices, and with those choices come ramifications, and just up and down the board, this was an amazing episode, and it's just kind of emotional because, like, yes, we know we got spin-offs, we got movies, I guess, still in purgatory, but the franchise, the series that really evolved this franchise coming to an end is just not something we all want. We want this to go forever, and we know that's not theoretical, but here we are. But with this episode and with my review here, folks, it is non-spoiler. I'm just here to get you prepared, excited for all things to come in this episode. And this episode was definitely an interesting one. Now, the biggest things for me is that there's like a couple of different things all happening at once. With Eugene and Max and their relationship and how that's starting to strengthen, we see Max really stepping out on a limb to be a part of that mission. And that mission is to expose what the Commonwealth is truly about. And with that, that's with Kelly and Connie and all of them coming together to put out the publication, put out that paper to really expose all the truths. And their plan is coming together, and they're about ready to pull the trigger here. So that's happening on one front. On the other front, Hornsby, Lance, he's still being a tyrant. And we know his whole goal was the expansion of the Commonwealth. And his whole mission of him being out was like, where's his weapons? And we know that he eventually met with Leah. And with that, him and Leah has sort of an enemy of an enemy is my friend type of agreement. And now, tasking Leah, who really doesn't have anything left. She's lost all her family and it's just her, but she has vengeance in her heart. And with that, Lance and her definitely have a common goal, and that is the removal of one and only. So with Maggie being in the bullseye here, that's her whole goal, but Maggie's also aware that these things are happening. We know that there is a attack being planned for Hilltop, and not just that, happen to meet up with Negan and the Complex folks to understand, what's happened there, to understand how that threat is coming to their doorstep and them rallying together. And we already know that Negan and Maggie and anything that they do is always interesting, but this whole second half of season 11 has really been about their relationship and them growing trust with one another, and that's been a work in progress. And ultimately getting to this point now where they both now have a common enemy, but not just that, they both have equally the same amount of stakes at line, and that's something we haven't really seen from Negan. But yet, here we are, and that just makes their series just so much more interesting now, is this that, like, there is a common playing ground for them, and that's never been the thing. It's always been leverage, it's always been almost collateral, and then revenge in one's eye. So, like, the fact that they're on common grounds now really makes things interesting. And as far as with Daryl and them, I mean, let's be honest now. Daryl's in a rock and a hard place because of the idea that he is a Commonwealth soldier, but there seems to be a little bit of discrepancy, and I think everybody's fully aware of it. So it's a little bit of chess playing right now too, because they don't want to be exposed or killed, and they also need to make sure they can clear a path to get back to everybody without it looking very, very obvious, and obviously doing this in a conspicuous way. So you have that kind of going on here, and it's just now everyone's pretty much in situations that's out of their control, because Lance is just out here as a tyrant. He is trying to do and complete his mission, and that means he will not stop at anybody in his path. So a lot of different things are going on. I think the biggest thing for this episode is that there will be a heartbreaking moment. there will be some very on the edge of your seat, super suspenseful moments. There's going to be some very heartfelt moments. There will be some very interesting Walker designs. And with this episode called Acts of God, there will be Acts of God. There will be a very iconic one that, you know, is very synonymous with the Bible. And you know, we just kind of see, and if you understand the symbolic nature of this act of God, then you really understand like why was it important for that to be displayed in this episode here. And I gotta say, Lance straight up turns into Two-Face. It's the craziest transformation ever, and it's not really by design. I mean, you can determine that if you want, but he actually turns into Two-Face with this whole obsession of how he wants to handle certain situations. And we know Two-Face is more of a person that's like on a chance of luck. What side of the coin does it land on? And Lance is sort of taking this same strategy here, which is like, you know, for what it's worth, it's just turning him into a supervillain. That's just what it is, you know. And at this point now, everybody is in a situation of trying to decide who and what is worth saving, and some very, very tough decisions are going to be made. And I got to say, Daryl, it's something about Daryl beyond just being a fan of the character. It's just something about never knowing Daryl's state of mind. At times, he just seems to just be blank, a walking shell. I mean, yeah, he's very dedicated to his friends and his family, but like, it's almost hard to kind of understand, like, what is he processing? Like, what is he going through? And I think this is another episode where I'm just kind of like, damn, like, I hope Daryl's okay. You know what I mean? What's he feeling? What's he going through? Because he has a lot on his shoulder, and even with him not being like in the forefront of the catalyst of the plans, it still feels like the weight of the world is on him. And beyond that, we see that with Maggie and the protection of Herschel, protection of her people, having to come to terms with Negan and his people, and this Lance is just out there, and beyond Lance, Leah's out there, and it's just a lot. It's really a lot, and this is a crazy finale. So many different things happen. I really did appreciate some of the Walker design. Some of the kills on the Walkers were really good, and everything. And like I said, there will be some ups and there will be some downs in this episode, emotionally wise. So just be ready for that. But as always, folks, you know I'm here each and every week. All things Walking Dead universe. This is it for The Walking Dead in terms of the last mid-season finale. And when it returns, I will be back. But until then, I'll be around here for Fear the Walking Dead reviews. So stay tuned for those very soon. Thank you for watching, folks.